Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and this is a breakdown of the new footage for this summer's Superman film. Tickets are now on sale, and we've seen a lot of new footage in recent days, amounting to a final trailer that I'm going to break down every new piece of for clues and details that you might have missed. And be sure to check out nerdriot.shop, which has a ton of great nerdy designs on shirts and hoodies and other purchasable items that go directly to supporting us here at New Rockstars. All right, James Gunn's Superman will release on July 11th, with special fan screenings happening on Tuesday, July 8th. The movie has a runtime of 2 hours and 9 minutes, which is just a sweet spot for a movie that is trying to make $1 billion. We'll see if it gets there. It is projected to make something upwards of $175 million in the opening weekend. Now, on June 6th, Warner Brothers released a TV spot titled Rivalry. Let's take a look at that.
What you're looking at is the most powerful being on planet Earth. I will not accept that.
Okay, some of these shots we have seen before. Superman slightly cooked, protecting the good people at Choco's Cookies during one of their pitch meetings, which you know is gonna earn Superman some major cred with Martian Manhunter, who loves these cookies. This is the eyes up here moment, and we do see the moment when he gets bathed in flame. Then Superman flying under the stomping kaiju to save this woman. He flies past signs for Big Belly Burger, that's the DC Universe fast food chain, and a sign for 8, which we have theorized could be this universe's version of 6. That's a musical about Henry VIII's wives, but in this case 8 could just be about Henry himself in a kind of Hamilton-esque personal history type of story. I actually have a fun theory about this that I'll get to later in the video. Now, a toy release suggests that this kaiju will be filled with blue slime whenever Superman kills it. Separately, an ad for Progressive Insurance using extended footage from this film seems to show Superman thwacking the kaiju with a water tower, where the water looks extra blue, and I think it's just the water, but hey, maybe Superman is like exploding the kaiju's head here. I really just think it's the water, and maybe the blue slime is just meant to be like a gross fun kid thing. Actually, that promo suggested that Green Lantern, Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl in their matching suits from Maxwell Lord that we see in the Peacemaker Season 2 trailer are not the Justice League, but rather the Justice Gang. So what I thought were the JLs on their uniform chests are actually JGs, which are also the initials of James Gunn. Another correction I need to make here, we know that Christopher Reeve's son Will Reeve from ABC News will appear in this movie somewhere, but the reporter on the screen from Sphere News in this shot is not Will Reeve. This is Lawrence J. Gillian, who also voiced a news anchor in Creature Commandos. Presumably, it's the same character in animation and live action. This trailer also shows us the moment after Superman brings the woman to safety on a nearby rooftop. And now there's this new shot of Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor telling his henchmen at Luthor Corp, "What you are looking at is the most powerful being on planet Earth. I will not accept that." And the way Nicholas Hoult punctuates that reminds me of this.
I will not accept that.
So don't even come and try and tell me any crap. I don't want that.
We see another new shot of Superman saving a woman in a car from a collapsing building. That's one of the buildings that domino on top of each other, collapsing over the bridge that we see in the other shot. I did worry that there were some cars on that bridge, and now we're gonna see Superman is gonna take care of them too. And I like how he holds it up with just his strength while hovering his body feet above the ground in this odd position. Now, since Lex Luthor is refusing to accept Superman as the most powerful being on planet Earth, this would explain why he wants these controllable beings that rival Superman's strength or have a chance of beating Superman, including the Hammer of Bravia and Ultraman. Now, many of you have reached out to me thinking that the Hammer of Bravia is Ultraman, just wearing a different suit, and I could see that being the case. I've also been asked about the theory that since we don't currently know the actor who plays Ultraman, that actor could be Henry Cavill. I think that theory is very interesting, but I don't know if James Gunn is gonna make his debut film of the DCU and give it a big twist of a bit of meta humor akin to the Cavalry cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine, which in the context of a DC film would really further enrage a corner of the DC fandom, a part of the fandom that I don't think James Gunn really wants to piss off that much. I just don't know if that's the kind of humor and vibe that James Gunn is going for with this movie based off of every interview and social media response he's given. Because James Gunn has also posted on Threads that hearing a spoiler won't kill the movie. So I'm thinking we will not get any massive twist or big cameo like that when it comes to Ultraman. However, I'm not gonna rule out that Henry Cavill could appear in this movie. If he does appear, I think it'd be really fun if he plays the musical theater star of the musical 8, perhaps playing Henry VIII. In an article from Empire with Nicholas Hoult about his various roles, they asked him about his approach to Lex Luthor, and Hoult said that he looked back at Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor and also at Michael Rosenbaum's Lex from Smallville, which was the first on-screen Lex he saw as a kid. And I love hearing actors now not being afraid to admit that that was their entry point to a lot of these characters. You don't have to have grown up reading the proper comics, you know? However you got to the party is fine by me. Screen Rant confirmed confirmed that Michael Rosenbaum actually will have a cameo in the Superman film, as he's been longtime friends with James Gunn and often cameos in his works. Rosenbaum said, quote, "James asked me to do something fun, so I have a couple of lines that I voice. And I think I figured out what character he's playing, and I'll get to it in a bit." But we also once again see this shot of Mr. Terrific and Lois Lane in this mysterious location. Now remember, I wasn't able to make much sense of whatever the setting is when I broke down the most recent trailer, but there is a shot from another promo where the Hammer of Baravia seems to be coming out of the same location. Now, some of you have presented some theories to me that this could be Bizarro World, since some of the background seems to be cubic in structure, and the Earth of Bizarro World, which is actually named the inverse of Earth, Hatray, is shaped like a cube. Really, I think what we're seeing here is a pocket dimension, perhaps even the QUC, the Quantum Unfolding Chamber. Back at CinemaCon, James Gunn teased that this movie would show us, quote, pocket universes, sorcery, flying dogs, and Max Fleischer cartoons. I think the sorcery was a hint to Cersei showing up in this movie. I think the pocket universes are what we are seeing here, because on May 26th, while talking to Entertainment Weekly about Peacemaker Season 2, James Gunn said, quote, "You've seen what we call the QUC, the Quantum Unfolding Chamber, in the first season of Peacemaker, and we see more about that technology in Superman. The QUC is the center of the story in Peacemaker Season 2. We see a lot of different characters from Superman in the season, including Isabella and Nathan and Sean, and then we see a bunch of other characters later on in the season from other parts of the DCU and from Superman. There might even be one really big cameo near the end of the show," which makes me wonder, who's going to be the big cameo at the end of Peacemaker? Is it just going to be David Cornsweet Superman? Is it going to be Millie Alcock as Supergirl? Are we going to get a live-action Clayface cameo? Is there going to be a Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart Green Lantern from Lanterns? Are they going to use this show to reveal who the DCU Batman will be? But remember, in Peacemaker Season 1, Chris showed Vigilante his quantum unfolding storage area.
How is it so big in this place?
It's a quantum unfolding storage area. It leads to a dimensional nodule outside normal space.
So I think this is the same thing. It's a pocket universe that Lex Luthor is using to contain some meta-humans. Now, some people have taken umbrage with James Gunn's usage of the word meta-human when it comes to Superman, since Superman is technically an alien, a Kryptonian. But James Gunn responded on Threads that DC Comics historically uses the term meta-human to describe a broad range of humanoid beings with supernatural or paranormal, extraterrestrial derived, or just otherwise fantastically enhanced abilities. In this footage, we see Superman fighting the Hammer of Baravia, and then the battlefield that we've seen before is the army of Boravia attacks protesters from Jarhanpur. We see Superman walking away from his 4 robots in the Fortress of Solitude. This is after they've used magnified solar energy to heal him, as he says, better get back to the fray. Now we know that number 4 will be voiced by Alan Tudyk, number 5 will be voiced by Michael Rooker, number 12 will be voiced by Grace Chan, and I think number 1 is going to be the mystery voice role that Michael Rosenbaum is playing. It's not exactly a hot take to say I'd rather be comfortable than uncomfortable. That's just, basic part of being a human. And yet, so many people spend half the day tugging at their clothes, folding their tags back in, getting all the seams to line up so they aren't itchy. For me, I'd rather just have comfortable clothes, which is why I wear True Classic. I have been wearing True Classic for a while now, and you can feel the difference the moment you throw one on. Tailored where you want it, relaxed where you need it. No bunching, no stiff fabric, no BS, just a clean, effortless fit that actually works for real life. Forget overpriced designer brands, ditch the disposable fast fashion. True Classic is built for comfort, built to last, and built to give back. True Classic's clothes fit right, feel amazing, and just as importantly, are affordable. True Classic makes it so guys everywhere can step into confidence without stepping out of their budget. And they're a company you can feel good about supporting. As a company, True Classic was built to make an impact. They lead with purpose, whether it's helping men show up better in their daily lives, giving back to underserved communities, or sponsoring channels like ours so we can keep making content for people like you. You can grab them at Target, Costco, or head to trueclassic.com/newrockstars and get hooked up today. Once again, go to trueclassic.com/newrockstars to upgrade your wardrobe or find True Classic clothes at a Target or Costco near you. James Gunn actually released a behind-the-scenes promo showing how they actually built versions of these robots practically, and they look awesome.
We have no consciousness whatsoever, merely automatons here to serve.
That's so funny.
I love him. This is Superman robot number 4, that's his legal name, played by Alan Tudyk.
His voice is my voice with better enunciation.
No need to thank us, sir, as we will not appreciate it.
We are tasked to build the automaton robot.
There's so many moves in this guy.
I'm so blown away.
Superman, You must rest.
No can do, 4. I gotta get back to the fray.
Then we see a new angle of the Metropolis Meteor's baseball field battle between Superman and the Engineer and Ultraman. And every time we see this location in trailers, we find new Easter eggs in the signs around the park. This is Lord Tech Field. That's a company of Maxwell Lord, played by Sean Gunn in this movie and in Peacemaker Season 2. So the Lord Tech company owns the entire field. There's a sign for Soder Cola. That's a DC Universe soft drink that's very popular in America. It first appeared in Action Comics 663 in March 1991. There's a sign for Weber Wireless, the official Wi-Fi sponsor of the Metropolis Meteors. There's a sign for Doe's Holes, which I assume is a brand of donut holes, but awkwardly named. And as Ultraman slams Superman and drags him across the grass, in the background, I did miss this in a past video, the Engineer is standing over the unconscious body of Mr. Terrific in the grass. So Michael Holt's gonna get wrecked in this fight. And I'm wondering if the Engineer's nanotechnology might invade the nanites that he uses in his own technology, including his mask. Now the final shot of this promo is Superman flying past us with his chest emblem S going right past the camera. And it is awesome. Now with tickets going on sale, Entertainment Weekly released a huge cover story with photos and revelatory plot context for this movie that answers some big questions. So let's break down what we learned from that. First off, there's this image of Superman flying through what I think is that pocket dimension. Now in the official trailer that came out, we saw Superman fighting against Ultraman where there was some heat vision exchanged. So we know Superman is going to be in this place at some point, and it might even be the same pocket dimension where like all the cubes and containment cells are located. James Gunn was very coy in this interview about what Ultraman is, but the article did spell it out as 2 separate words. Of all the things in this movie, that seems to be what he's most secretive about. But perhaps the biggest confirmation from this article is that, according to James Gunn, in the DCU, society has been aware of the existence of metahumans on Earth for 300 years. The article quotes Gunn as saying, quote, "If you saw a shark man walking down the street, you'd probably vomit and shit yourself to death." He says, if they saw one, it would be more like if you saw Paul McCartney on the sidewalk in New York. So, for one, the king shark that we saw among Task Force M at the end of Creature Commandos, James Gunn plans to show walking around in live action, maybe even making random guest appearances on Saturday Night Live. And presumably this will be a different king shark than the one voiced by Sylvester Stallone in 2021's The Suicide Squad. But either way, this is a society accustomed to aliens and monsters, and it remains to be seen who the first metahuman met by the public was in the DCU. Could it have been a Lantern? Could it have been a Themysciran? In Creature Commandos, the existence of Themyscira was described as mythical in and of itself. But it sounds like what makes Superman unique and becoming the scorn of Lex Luthor is how maxed out all of his abilities are as a metahuman. Everyone in society feels that is unfair. And learning this tells us that the society of the movie is not wowed by the existence of any superhero. Superman is not their first rodeo, and they have some expectations of how metahumans should coexist within the social order. This is a society that has adapted culturally and technologically to having superheroes flying around. We also learned from this article that Clark and Lois's interview scene, before that they have been dating for 3 months at that point, and that Clark has cooked Lois an anniversary meal. Also, Nicholas Hoult explained how his version of Lex Luthor is inspired specifically by a panel in Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely's All-Star Superman, where Lex gets swole and brags that his muscles are real, unlike Superman's that were inherited by him being a Kryptonian transferring to Earth. So it sounds like Nicholas Hoult is playing Lex as kind of a gym bro and an alpha. James Gunn also said, quote, "There's nothing bad happening in Metropolis during this movie that doesn't have some connection to Lex Luthor," which confirms that everything bad we see, from the kaiju to the Hammer of Baravia, all are connected to Lex Luthor's meddling. Now, James Gunn also teased his bigger plans for the DCU, confirming that the group of Hawkgirl, Green Lantern Guy, Gardner, and Mr. Terrific are part of Maxwell Lord's Justice Gang, and we got the update that Mr. Terrific will also return in a future DCU title. But tomorrow, Jessica Clemons is gonna have a big video that explains all of the new info we learned about James Gunn's DCU slate. And let's take a look at this international promo that I think was released on China's Weibo platform.
Eventually people are gonna find out that you're Superman.
Yeah, but
the glasses.
hey, loser. You're a loser.
He's not a man. He's an it with a cocky grin and a stupid outfit.
Who's that guy you were seeing?
He's a little strange.
Stop, sit.
Oh, I like strange.
Okay, so this promo gives us more of Clark's flirtation with Lois, and this new shot of Clark walking into the Daily Planet office as Beck Bennett's character, sports reporter Steve Lombard, calls him a loser. Steve appears to be flirting with the secretary. Now, in the trailer breakdown, I broke down some details on Steve Lombard's desk that prove that he's actually a big fan of Superman. We pointed out one photo of Superman on his desk, but there's another image on his board that's actually a really fun Easter egg. It's the cover of the iconic Superman for Tomorrow issue by Jim Lee, showing Superman with his leg perched on a gargoyle. Meanwhile, over on Jimmy Olsen's desk, I was so caught up with the photo of Jimmy with the two women that after I pointed out this image of Superman, I didn't really notice that he is waving at the camera in the photo, a photo that presumably Jimmy Olsen took. And I bring this up because you can now subscribe to the Daily Planet in the form of these newsletters on Instagram, and this recent one is a pretty basic puff piece written by Clark Kent himself with a photo by Jimmy Olsen, according to the byline credit, an angle that would have been impossible for a photographer to get because Superman is flying in the shot, unless you consider that those floating drones that are following the fight are carrying cameras operated by the Daily Planet. So that gives us different context of the type of technology Jimmy Olsen uses. He might be like a drone photographer. Now, this promo also shows Lex in the Fortress of Solitude after Ultraman and the Engineer have destroyed Superman's robots, now saying that Superman has a cocky grin and a stupid outfit. And on that, we see Superman smiling at the woman he saved from that kaiju stomp. And it's not a cocky grin, it's a reassuring grin to make a panicked person feel better. And Daily Planet gossip columnist Kat Grant chats with Lois Lane while she flips through Lois's old school Rolodex asking about a guy she's seen, and Lois calls him a little strange. And this intercuts with shots of Krypto greeting Superman in the Fortress of Solitude, biting his boots, wanting to play. I just find it funny that we hear these women talking about how strange this extraterrestrial is while we're seeing him do the most common everyday annoyance that every dog owner has to deal with when we come home at the end of the day. A dog that is just a little over eager to play. Comment down below with your thoughts on this, and a special thanks to one of our YouTube members, Frederick Price, who supports us at the executive producer level. Follow me at EA Voss and subscribe to all the channels in the New Rockstars network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.